Live, this is Weekend Edition.
A huge week of news in the United States. Let's go straight to Cyprus College Professor of Political Science, Peter Mathews. Peter, a Manhattan grand jury has voted to indict former President Trump over hush money payments made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Do we know what the charges will be?
We don't know the specifics of the charges, but it is true that we've been looking at what led up to this, and it has to do with the fact that he got Michael Cohen, apparently, his lawyer, to pay Stormy Daniels $130,000 to be quiet in the very final weeks of the presidential election, which saved him his place and was able to win with that. That money was reimbursed by President Trump himself out of his own campaign, out of his business account. And that was reimbursed with checks that were written to Michael Cohen to reimburse even more than that, including the fees that he claimed to be legal fees. So there's a misrepresentation possibly of legal fees of the business that he owns, calling it legal fees when actually it was reimbursement money possibly for the hush money that was paid. So there could be campaign finance violations here as well as a business violation. We'll have to just wait and see what happens on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how do you think it will affect him in the 2024 primary?
Well, we know that he pretty much holds his approval rating pretty constant throughout the years, even all the scandals that he's had. Despite the scandals, he keeps at about 40% approval rating, 42%. And I think that it's going to hurt him somewhat. But on the other hand, the scenario that could be is that it could actually help him. His supporters will take him on and support him very strongly for the primary election. On the other hand, the general election, it could actually hurt him. There's a study that was done not long ago between 1998 and 2016. It was found that incumbents who are in office already running for re-election, incumbents have done about 9% more poorly when they were scandal-plagued than what there was expected. The scandals actually have helped to reduce incumbents' strength in the general election. In the primaries, you could actually see Trump winning the primary, possibly, unless someone like Governor Ron DeSantis is able to pull through and get more support, and the actual Trump gets convicted of a crime, then it could really hurt him as well.
Yeah, you've touched on the irony there, haven't you, that he could well be seen as a martyr, and that could help the former president.
It could help him, but I think only in the primaries. In the general election, it could actually set him back a bit.
Is there any chance that he could be locked up? See, a lot of people are watching this and don't know the nuance of the American legal system. Is there any chance that he could? It looks unlikely.
It's very difficult to say because when he's there in front of that trial jury, if he's going to be indicted on Tuesday, that will put him on a trial in front of a trial jury. If they convict him, then he's being treated actually as any other American, and he should be, because we do believe in the rule of law. I know his supporters call it political persecution, but most Americans believe that the rule of law is being applied here. He's being treated the same anyway as anyone else would be, other than a few courtesies, like he probably won't be handcuffed. He'll be fingerprinted, and pictures will be taken of him on Tuesday. Other than that, he will have to be treated like other Americans under the rule of law, because that's a constitutional principle. So it's possible if he gets convicted. You don't know what kind of sentence he's going to get. We'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, how have other Republican contenders reacted to the indictment?
Oh, that's quite interesting, because many of them are dancing a tightrope. They don't want to seem to be anti-Trump because of his base, and they want some of his voters in case they're able to beat him that way. On the other hand, they're also not supporting what he did. I mean, the whole thing is to play a balancing act where they don't alienate his supporters too much because they want their votes. At the same time, they're defending him. Some of them are saying that this was a political persecution. Many of them are actually defending Trump by saying that the Democrats and the law enforcement have gone after him unduly. And this is a fine balancing act. We don't know how it's going to play out in the long run or even during the short run in the primaries.
Yeah, well, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, you've already mentioned his name in this interview, has said he won't assist in any extradition of Mr. Trump.
That's very interesting, because the Constitution says in Article 4, Section 2, that extradition clause is valid. That's what it's in there. The extradition clause says any governor who has someone fleeing to his state and hiding there or being there after having committed a crime or being accused of committing a crime in another state, that governor has to return that suspect to be tried in the first state where the crime was ostensibly committed. That's in the Article 4, Section 2 extradition clause. And the U.S. Supreme Court reaffirmed that in 1987. There was some question as to whether that could actually be enforced. In 1987, in a court case, the U.S. Supreme Court said, yes, it can be enforced and it will be enforced because it's in the Constitution. So I don't think Governor DeSantis will have any choice about that if it comes around to it.
You are a professor of political science. We've said this a few times, but can you actually believe that this is happening in the biggest, most powerful democracy in the world?
It is so unfathomable. Some people say it's kind of surreal because we had never imagined this would happen, Tim. You know, this has never happened before to any other candidate or former president to be indicted in the middle of this while he already served in the presidency, and to see that he could actually be on trial, on a criminal trial. And it is just so remarkable. People are kind of unnerved, they're a little bit unsettled here, and the country is not sure what's going to happen if this goes through all the way through, and it goes to its logical extension or end, and we ended up having a former president actually being convicted of crime or crimes. How will that play out? How will that play out in the American sense of who we are as a nation? Well, some people in America will say, look, it's proven we are a nation of rule of law, is that no one is above the law. And even if someone who's a former president has committed a crime, they get tried when they're out of office, in this case. So that's the rule of law. It shows that we're a constitutional democracy. Some people would say that. There's also a large number of Americans, maybe a strong minority, that believes that he's been politically persecuted, and they will just, who knows what they will do. I hope they won't take any action that would really destabilize our country. Instead, they should accept whatever the rule of law says. And we do believe that President Trump is innocent until proven guilty. That's an American axiom of our legal system. Innocent until proven guilty. He's not been proven guilty yet. The trial will be coming up, and we have to wait and see how it ends. And I think everyone should accept the results of it in order to preserve our democracy.
Yeah, I think that you touched on, as we wrap it up here, the biggest problem here is how will some of his supporters react, particularly when we saw some of the former president's comments on his YouTube channel.
They were totally uncalled for and egregious and outrageous, the comments that he made that could incite violence, the kinds of things that he said. He urged people to come and demonstrate on Tuesday when he was supposedly thought he was going to get arrested. And he was just inciting them to voice their frustrations and to take action, not just to voice it. He seemed to indicate you need to take action, and that's a very dangerous situation. I would really please urge Mr. Trump to just accept what's happening right now and go through the process and let it take its course, and not to incite his supporters.
He won't, though. It's not his style, unfortunately. But we'll watch with interest, Peter, and we'll chat real soon.
You bet. Thank you, Tim.